your Holy Spirit. Bless us, oh God, with that breath of fresh air. Bless us, oh God, that we might be a blessing to others, that those who are hungry, that they might be fed, that those who need their voting rights, that they might indeed have those granted. Bless this time together in the name of your Son. Amen.
Amen. As we gather here today, everybody, we're going to be marching on the Russell and the Hart building. It's important for me to note that people are coming, and after I lay out the purpose today, shh, young man. After I lay out the purpose today, we're then going to have some speakers from West Virginia, Kentucky, and then we're going to have some of our key brothers and sisters who've been in the movement, beginning with the Reverend, and I say Senior Elder Jesse Lewis Jackson, and others that I will call the Council of President, General Secretary of the National Council of Churches, and others, because we are clear. And maybe it's right to start as people are still marching here. Because one of the things we're trying to say today is time to start marching for the soul of this democracy. And we are saying to others there needs to be a wave after wave after wave in the state, on these senators' offices, and in the Capitol. And in another couple of weeks, the Poor People's Campaign, the National Call for Moral Revival, are going to ask our 40 coordinating committees across the nation to have a National Moral Monday on these Senate offices. We had planned to take off after we had our National Poor People's Low-Wage Workers Assembly Moral March on Washington virtually, and launching a plan to have a National Poor People's Assembly Moral March on Washington on June of 2022. But there comes a time, Sister Arwine, there comes a time, Reverend Jackson, there comes a time, President Winkler, that you can't wait to save something. You got to save it while saving is possible. And so today we are here, turn this mic up some, we are here with people from the hood to the hollows in Kentucky and West Virginia. And we're here with friends from other places to demand of every U.S. Senator and to ask them to answer one simple question. Which side are you on? This is no time for straddling the fence. Yesterday's party line vote to kill debate on the For the People Act certified what we already knew. McConnell's obstructionist caucus as politically mean, extreme, regressive, and anti the Constitution, anti the very Constitution they swore to uphold. Officially, somebody said that they proved that they were the party against voting rights, but we've already known that. We didn't need a procedural vote to prove that to us, and neither did America. They are trapped in the lies of McConnell's meanness and are held captive by money and the forces of greed that have been reshaping them since the Southern strategy of Richard Nixon. But let me be clear, why we're here and why you see black and white and brown and indigenous and Asian and young and old and gay in the street. This is not simply Jim Crow. This is James Crow Esquire. It's not just targeting black people, but it's targeting poor and low-wage black, white, brown, indigenous, Asian, young people, and the disabled. And the question is, which side are you on? This refusal to even debate voting rights protections has exposed every citizen Republican as a liar. That they lied when they put their hands on that Constitution. They stood before God and their constituents and swore to uphold the Constitution. But they have embraced the states' rights argument against federal voting rights protections that, if followed to its furthest conclusion, would inevitably invalidate the very vision and promise of the 15th, 19th, 24th, 26th, and 14th Amendment. Which side are you on? And today we come here not as Democrats or Republicans, but we come here to speak the moral truth, because sometimes you just need a few people that don't play the political games, they just tell it like it is. And so we're not just here to talk to McConnell. We asked them for meetings to meet with their constituents. We've been asking, they refuse. We haven't heard anything from them. So we're also here to say to Manchin and any so-called Democrat who claims to support the non-constitutional filibuster over the constitutional guarantee that no state can deny or abridge the right to vote. When you do this and you support the non-constitutional filibuster over a constitutional guarantee, you are assisting the Republicans in their extremism. And you are engaging in a form of political manipulation and gamesmanship that have gone on long enough. And to then lie and say you're doing it because of the people in your state. West Virginians called us and said we need to march in West Virginia and in D.C. because 79% of West Virginians, Republicans and Democrats and independent, have long said stop the filibuster, pass the bill, and pass the Voting Rights Act. This battle is for the fundamental promise and principle of voting, and it should always be non-negotiable. In fact, the truth of the matter is, think about it, what's in the For the People's Act. The For the People's Act would restore voting rights to millions of formerly incarcerated people and mandate safeguards for voters who lack identification and prohibit discriminatory purges and affirm the necessity of restoring the Voting Rights Act and prohibit and further penalize voter intimidation, deception, and online vote suppression. Who wants to compromise that away? This bill would expand voting opportunities and modernize our voting registration system with automatic same-day and online voter registration, giving all voters the option to vote early in person or by mail, limiting time in line at polling places, and provide additional protection to voters with disabilities. Who would want to compromise away from that? This bill would outlaw extreme partisan gerrymandering and establish critical guidelines for the drawing of congressional districts in a manner that promotes fair representations and protects people of color and communities that are often underrepresented. It would bring the redistricting process to the public view. It would end the practice of prison-based gerrymandering, which undercuts the representation of communities of color and poor communities. Who would want to compromise away from that? The For the People Act would blunt the political effects of wealth inequality, most notable by establishing a voluntary small dollar matching system for federal congressional races, and it would blunt the power of dark money and curb these super PACs. Who would want to block this or compromise this away unless you were more committed to the United States Chamber of Commerce than the United States Constitution? Who would want to stop this or compromise away from it unless you were more committed to systemic racism and classism than justice and democracy? This battle is not about moderate versus conservative. It's not about left versus right. It's about right versus wrong. Not one of those senators put your hand on the Bible and swore to moderately support the Constitution. You did not swear to conservatively support the Constitution. You did not swear to moderately establish justice or to moderately promote the general welfare or to conservatively ensure against the denial and the abridgment of voting rights. No. And in the Bible, if you held the Bible while you swore, the Bible does not say be moderate for justice. be moderate and lukewarm. It says in Isaiah 10, woe unto those who legislate evil and rob the poor of their rights and make women and children their prey. There is nothing moderate about using a non-constitutional filibuster to block protecting and expanding the constitutional right to vote. No. If you try to block this or compromise this, it is morally indefensible, constitutionally inconsistent, economically insane, politically irresponsible, and historically inaccurate. Not one Democrat ran last year and said, if you elect me, I'm going to join the Republicans in their interposition and nullification. Don't run and say one thing and then get in office and do another. The possibility of compromise has to be based on a shared promise. You come to the table with people who believe there's a problem that needs to be addressed. But the Republicans have just demonstrated they don't believe there's a problem. You hear them coming, don't you? You hear them coming. That's how it's going to be all this summer. You hear them, don't you? They don't even believe that we have a problem. So how can you compromise with people who don't believe they have a problem? They have capitulated to the lies of a president who lost. And they have capitulated to a past rooted in the legacy of the Strom Thurmond and the Southern strategy. They have sided with the corporately funded think tanks. 6 months after the Capitol was stormed by insurrectionists who wanted to overturn the results of the election, they have decided and declared that they are on the side of political insurrection, and they are attempting to do it in our face, and it's gone on long enough, and it needs to stop now. So we've come to ask a simple question. Which side are you on? I was talking to my friend as I close, who used to work for Strom Thurmond. He was raised in the hills of Appalachia, and now he is a powerful brother for justice, Jonathan Hartgrove. And he said to me this morning, trying to compromise with Republicans now would be thinking that you could convince the crowd that wanted to hang Mike Pence to just settle for tar and feathers. We've come here today to say there's some things that are non-negotiable. Am I right about it? You got to decide which side are you on. When we read Manchin's compromise proposal last week, it didn't say anything about federal reenfranchisement of formerly incarcerated people. It didn't say anything about modernizing. It talked about a voter ID. Why would we nationalize voter ID while civil rights lawyers are in court fighting to stop voter ID? You can't say you honor the legacy of John Lewis, who wrote the For the People Act. Let's be clear. John Lewis wrote the For the People Act. That's his bill. So how can you say you honor him, and he wrote it with his blood and his life, and then you try to undermine the very bill he wrote? And so as they come, we are here today because we understand that the fight for voting rights cannot be separated from the fight for health care and living wages and infrastructure that reaches to poor and low-wealth communities. It's all one fight. The same people that suppress the vote, they'll suppress your living wages. They suppress health care. They suppress public education. They are the same people that would rather put dark money into the voting process rather than let us see what they're doing in the light. And it's time to rise to meet the moral crisis of our time, forego the filibuster, and pass the For the People Act and pass the Voting Rights Act. It's time for a 50 vote with the vice president breaking the filibuster. It's time to debate and pass the For the People Act. And look, while they're doing it, go ahead on with 50 plus 1 and pass $15 an hour living wage. Go ahead and pass infrastructure reform. Go ahead and pass health care. Go ahead and pass more access to unions. In fact, go ahead and pass what's best for the democracy, and we'll battle it out at the ballot box next year. Now, there's still time for McConnell to repent. I have to say that as a preacher. But Manchin, don't you let sin block the salvation of this democracy and its soul. And so, brothers and sisters, as Robin comes now, we must bring moral direct action. We must make sure we're clear and heard. All over this country, America, you should be marching on these Senate offices. You should be bringing buses to D.C. COVID safe. We don't need an insurrection. We just need a moral, nonviolent mobilization and direct action. Back in Appalachia, Mother Jones used to say, we've got to pray for the dead and fight like hell for the living. It's time to fight like nonviolent. It's time to fight like truth. It's time to fight like love. It's time to fight like justice. And we need to fight until hell freezes over and then fight on the ice. It's time for moral direct action. We don't need compromise and capitulation. Pass the bill. Break the filibuster. Pass voting rights. Pass living wages. Pass health care. Do what's right for the American people and do it for poor and low-wealth people and do it now.
I'm Reverend Dr. Robin Tanner. I'm a Unitarian Universalist minister, and today, like all of you, I am a person of conscience who knows what is right and what is wrong. Say with me, break the filibuster. 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 Do what is right.
Do what is right.
Do what is right.
Do what is right.
Now. It is my honor to introduce two warriors in this struggle, two people who certainly know what is right and what is good, what is moral. From the West Virginia Poor People's Campaign, Pamela Garrison now and Gene Evansmore will give us testimony to the impact that Senator Manchin is having on the people who sent him into the power that he is in now.
Sanitizer. Let me have the sanitizer, please. Give it up for them. They said they wanted to speak. They were tired of somebody saying what they wanted. Pam, say it just like you feel it. As the Lord gives you utterance.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pam Garrison, Tri-Chair of West Virginia Poor People's Campaign. I stand here representing 140 million poor and low-income people in this nation. I represent 770,000 in my state, poor and low-income workers. Our governor, our senator has gotten up here saying that he's doing what we want. Well, I'm here to say he's not doing what we want. It's not. We are one of the poorest nations in the world. In the country. When they took the $15 minimum wage out of the rescue package, they took half of the rescue out. We are the ones that, we are the rescue. You give us the income, we will put it in this economy. We are the people. This is our country. And how come the only time a filibuster or compromise is ever mentioned is when it's something for the people. Yeah. When it is something to help the people or uplift the people, oh, we got to compromise. Oh, there's a filibuster. Well, I never heard of compromise or filibuster when the rich was getting their tax breaks. I ain't heard no filibuster since. They ain't gonna give that up. They're gonna fight us. We are lied to, we are manipulated, and we're not stupid people. I am up here because I got grandchildren, and I'm saving my democracy from authoritarianism. We watched it. We watched it unfold. And we are standing strong and saying, you can't have our democracy. We are the people. This is our country. You represent us. We don't serve you. You serve us. We're marching, and this won't be the last one. You will hear us because they keep trying to put their hands over their ears and la la la. They don't want to hear us. Well, I got news for them. We're not going away. We're going to get more. We are going to mobilize. We are going to organize. We are going to educate. And our next generations, if they have to, will fight you for us.
Yeah.
We are the people. Thank you, America. Thank you.
Come on, Jim. Say, we are the people, and we will fight for the soul of this democracy.
Yes, we will. I'm Jean Evans Moore from West Virginia, born and raised there, and I turned 80 last year. I am just now getting ready to fight, okay? I am disgusted and disappointed to have to admit that Senator Manchin is too far gone to hear us. We've been to his West Virginia office at least 3 times, and he hasn't been around. Now today we're in D.C. I wouldn't be at all surprised to find out that he is actually in West Virginia, hiding from us. But we're not going to quit. We're not going to give up. His lies are unbelievable. His words have come out to mean all kinds of things that loads of people cannot understand. I think he is under the influence of somebody's back pocketing. And it's not his. I think he is under the influence of somebody's back pocket. I don't particularly like that. You see, my granddaddy raised me to believe I was going to go to hell if I told a lie. Okay? Now, I think Manchin better tell the truth. Because he doesn't have to answer to me. He has to answer to somebody and something else. We have to do something about this. And folks, thank you. Your presence means a lot more, and it gets a lot more attention than your phone calls and your letters and your emails, which can be ignored. I know they are ignored. Thank you for being here. Thank you. What Manchin is doing and has not done is representing people of the United States of America. See, this is bigger than West Virginia. It's bigger than Kentucky. It's all of us. It's all of us, and it's our democracy, which pisses me off to no end. He has totally gone off the deep end. He has effed up, okay? He has effed up, and y'all young people know how you use that word nowadays. So that's what it means. And we are not going to stop. We're not going to stop. West Virginia, are you here? Yeah. Are we going to go after him? Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Say, we are not going to stop. Hold those signs up high. And they're still coming. There's some more people coming, a couple of hundred folk that are still coming. Say, our democracy is not for sale, for compromise or negotiation. You will not take the voting rights of poor and low-wealth people. This is not just a black issue. All of us, white, black, brown, Asian, Indian, young, old, gay, and straight. Mr. Manchin, Mr. McConnell, you cannot block our voting rights, our living wages, our health care. We are an unstoppable force, and we are here to stay, and we aren't going anywhere.
is here with us from West Virginia has made the journey to be with us to tell us a message of what is right.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to bear witness for the fact that Joe Manchin does not speak for West Virginia. I am actually tired of the newscast that talks about Manchin is speaking for West Virginia. 70% of the people in West Virginia are for the People Act. 70 people. And so I think the challenge is that we need to ask Senator Manchin, where was all this bipartisanship when Trump was the president? We didn't hear a word from him when Trump was the president. And suddenly he is the lion of bipartisanship. What I'd like to suggest to you, he is doing nothing but killing the agenda of President Biden. Let me tell you how. First of all, he keeps saying that in order for him to vote, that Republicans have to vote. So we keep weakening the bills. We weaken the infrastructure bill. We weakened the January 6th commission. We weakened over and over again, but then when the votes came up, not one Republican voted for it. There's something wrong with that. Can you say amen? Amen. So I'm here to tell you that Manchin does not speak for West Virginia. We have a long and rich history of fighting for civil rights. You know, West Virginia became a state because we did not succeed from the Union. Somebody ought to say, man. In the early days, in the late 19th century, it was West Virginia that produced Booker T. Washington. It was West Virginia that produced Carter G. Woodson. And unfortunately, it's West Virginia that's now producing Manchin, but we're going to do something about that. Can you say amen? So I'm standing before you today to think and to say to you, I believe that our senior citizen from West Virginia needs to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. Because, you know, I am told that if you keep doing the same thing and expect a different result, you're crazy. So Manchin keeps doing the same thing and it keeps getting the same result. So West Virginia, we're here to stand up. We're here to say that not only Manchin, but we have another Senator, Shelley Moore Capito, that we need to say her name as well. You need to understand that West Virginia, from this very inception, our motto is West Virginians are always free. Say that with me. West Virginians are always free. And since West Virginians are always free, we want everyone else to be free. So the greatest thing that you can do, what is sacrosanct, is the ability to vote. So I'm here to tell Senator Manchin that he's wrong, that West Virginia backs the infrastructure bill. Do you know West Virginia is one of the poorest states in the nation? And yet it was Senator Manchin that stopped us from getting a $15 an hour minimum wage. There's something wrong with that. I think he needs to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. I'm suggesting to you that West Virginia is bigger than Manchin, but I believe that Manchin thought he would be able to do all this and wouldn't get any pushback at home. Well, I'm here to tell you, we've been pushing back at home. Reverend Barber was in Charleston, and we pushed back at home. And it wasn't until that we started pushing back, I believe, that he finally decided to read the bill. I don't even think he read the bill, Reverend Barber. But once he read the bill, now he is making suggestions. But as soon as he makes suggestions, McConnell and the Republicans are saying to him, they will not back it. There's a problem with that. And so I'm here from Charleston, West Virginia, the New First Baptist Church of Kanawha City. And I'm here to represent that West Virginia is with the Poor People's Campaign. West Virginia has a vested interest, and West Virginia will stand behind Reverend Barber all the way. Can you say amen? Amen. Somebody say all the way. All the way. All the way. All the way. And don't forget, Mountaineers are always free.
And brothers and sisters, every time we have a Poor People's Campaign, we teach. Why didn't we come out saying, oh, this is a good compromise? Because the bill doesn't need to be compromised. John Lewis had written everything in it. Secondly, why would you put in photo ID? Why would you block the thing, take things out that are essential, nothing modernization. And so we can't, somebody has to say, we don't need to play the game. And they need to stop telling us the only way to get the bill is to compromise. It was put in the rules, the 50+1. That's why it's put there, so that folk cannot just run a tyranny and shut the whole country down. If there was ever a time to use the 50 votes and then let the vice president be the deciding vote, it should have been done with the living wage. But we ought to now do it now, right?
Is Kentucky in the house? We're going to hear now from Arnold Farr from the Kentucky Poor People's Campaign and Attica Scott of the Ford Justice Action Network, in that order, from Kentucky. Come on up, y'all.
Kentucky in the house. First of all, thank you all for being here. Thank you. And let me say something. We have in America what Brother Cornel West calls a democratic experiment. And we're at a moment in our history where that experiment is about to fail. But we're here to stand for that democratic experiment, to stand for democracy, and move forward with what has been promised to the American people. Yeah. Now, here's some things I want you to think about. Look at the situation we're in right now. What does it mean for our country? What does it mean for democracy when you have senators and congressmen who do not have a positive program or agenda for the American people? That's right. Instead, their agenda is to block positive agendas for the American people. Yeah. We have in office right now a senator who calls himself the Grim Reaper. And he calls himself the Grim Reaper because he knows that his desk is where a policy that is for the people goes to die. Yes. And he lives and functions as the Grim Reaper in our Senate, and he's proud of that. In the meantime, as he blocks every policy that is for the people, he has nothing to offer. I ask you, America, and I ask my state of Kentucky, in the words of the great Janet Jackson, what has Mitch done for you lately? Absolutely nothing. 37% of the state of Kentucky is in poverty or low income. Now let me say to those of you who are in that 37%, when is the last time Mitch came down to Kentucky to have a talk with you? Never. Those of you who are struggling with health care, when has Mitch come down to have a talk with you? Never. We're in a desperate situation in America. And I hope that those of you who are watching join us, the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival in saving this precious democratic experiment. Thank you.
I'm Attica Scott with Ford Justice Action Network, and we are strong supporters of the Poor People's Campaign. I'm also a proud Kentuckian, and let me tell you something about Kentucky. The two senators who are here representing Kentucky are not Kentucky. We are Kentucky. In Kentucky, we know what it's like for our people to go months without their unemployment insurance benefits. Expand unemployment insurance. In Kentucky, we know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck or no check to no check, so raise the minimum wage. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Go get your democracy.
Wait a minute, before you all leave, I want the Kentuckians to come up here, some of them, because I want America to see how diverse they are. Where are the Kentuckians? See, we're not playing this game anymore. You don't put the black folk over here and the white people over there. No. We all gonna fight. Give it up for Kentucky! All right. And you all gonna be leading us in the march in a few minutes. Step back now. All right. Great. West Virginia, where's your hand? Raise your hands. West Virginia, they're still coming. Let me know when those other folk from the bus get here. All right, at this time, we've got some Pittsburgh's in the house. New York, where's New York? Where's Maryland? All right, in fact, call your state, DC, Delaware, Pittsburgh. At this time, we've got some of our leaders who are coming. Ohio, that's right. Where's Ohio? Great. All right. We're going to ask in this order. They're coming for 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes before we march. First, our elder, we're going to have Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. I'm going to let his son bring him on. And then we're going to have after him, we're going to have the brother that leads, and I want the media to hear this, the General Secretary and President of the National Council of Churches, Jim Winkler, will come. Then after that, we're going to have Rahana Epting, the Executive Director of Move On. And then after that, we're going to have the powerful attorney, Barbara Arwine. And then after Barbara Arwine comes, we're going to have the Reverend Jennifer Butler, who leads as the founding Executive Director of Faith in Public Life. And then we're going to have the Reverend Abi Janamakin, Senior Minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Bethesda, Maryland. And then we're going to close it out before we march with my dear brother from the Mississippi Boulevard Church from Tennessee. And he's here, Brother Turner. And there's another bishop here giving Graylin, where is he? Reverend Gilbert is going to come just before Reverend Turner. But give it up for Brother our Father and the Elder, Brother Jackson. Reverend Dr.
Thank you, Reverend Barber. My name is Jonathan Jackson, the national spokesman for the Rainbow Push Coalition. Rainbow Push is honored to be here with our brother, our pastor, our friend, the Reverend Barber. Give him a loving round of applause. Sometimes you have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. Enough is enough. Forward ever, backwards never. My father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, says, Jonathan, we have to go to D.C. I said, but Dad, we can watch it on television. He says, no, what they're doing with the Voting Rights Act is going to throw all people back in time, and I'm not going to let it happen on my watch. So then again, I tried to persuade him, Dad, you don't need to do this. Everyone knows your heart is there. And he basically told me, this isn't a Facebook moment. This isn't a Snapchat moment. This isn't a Triller moment. This isn't a Clubhouse moment. This isn't an Instagram moment. You got to have marching feet, a made-up mind, a sense of dignity, a sense of purpose. I bring you my father, the freedom fighter, long-standing, long-fighting, the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Put your hands together, put your hands together. Say, I am somebody. I am somebody. Respect me, protect me, never neglect me. I am God's child. Down with dope, up with hope. We come to feed the hungry. We come to set the captive free. We the people have the power. We the people have the power. Red, yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious. God said everybody is somebody. Everybody is somebody. Let me hear you scream.
We love you, Rep. We love you from Kentucky.
I'm delighted to be with you again today. I'm in the Freedom Fighters Grenade 48 campaign. Thank you so much. I want to say to you today that Reverend Bob has been the glue to put our family together. Give Reverend Bob a hand. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Reverend Jackson.
Thank you, darling.
We love you. We love you.
Today's Republican Party is yesterday's Democratic Party. The children, George Wallace, children, Lester Maddox. In 1948, Humphrey made a speech about civil rights. And Trump Thurman, who was a Democrat at that time, walked out to give him the form of the Dixiecrats. Follow me now. 64, all George Wallace and Jim Clark, all of them were Democrats.
That's right.
We got the right to use public accommodations, use the right to vote. They changed parties. So today's Republicans, yesterday's Democrats. Today, we know they shifted democracy, the Democrats, to fascism. We the people are not going to take it. Vote or boycott. Use our dimes and our dollars and our votes to change America. Vote or boycott, whatever it takes. Freedom fighters. You're good to be called a freedom fighter. It stands for justice. Say, believe in our faith. We live under the law. Live in our faith. Under the law. The law must be just. Be honored. We come not as the insurrection group, the resurrection group. We come not as insurrection, but resurrection. Not violently, but non-violently, loving, caring, and redemptive. Americans become addicted to slave labor.
Yes.
All the war about maintaining slaves and labor. Addicted to it. 246 years we were in slavery. African American people were in slavery. And they taught whites to feel superior, blacks to be inferior, and codified in the laws about systemic racism is belief in the institution, that in fact denies bone release. We're addicts. Then when we had a short period of Reconstruction, the same folks, when Lincoln was assassinated, put in Andrew Johnson. Removed the troops from the South. The segregation masters were more vicious than the slave masters. At least enslaved masters, they protected us as their property, owned their property. When segregation came, there was another. When segregation came, they in fact, when segregation came, they in fact made a movement. Jefferson Davis is their leader. Sometimes they refer to Abe Lincoln or the founder of the party. But they say Jefferson Davis Democrats. Jefferson Davis Democrats. White House in Montgomery, Alabama. He organized slavery, secession, sedition, race supremacy. We must vote in great numbers. Lastly, 1960 Kennedy won by 130,000 votes. We go in this time. Bush beat more, we go about 600 votes or less. I want every high school student to listen. Every high school student who's 18 and will be 18 by November, you have the right to vote. Every college student has the right to vote. See, what they try to do is they the water. He tried to do was, Lincoln, in his forgiving spirit, forgave men of treason. Forgave men who had picked up arms against the United States of America, who thought to overthrow the government. Those January 6th group, they're the lineage of those who sought to overthrow the government in the first place. We won then, we're going to win now.
Yes!
The Southerners were in fact winning that war. They were up to Antietam, Maryland and Gettysburg. Lincoln freed enough of us to join the Union Army. 200,000 blacks joined the army, and we changed the course of America.
Yes, sir.
The war was not fought about slavery, it was fought about union. So the men, those who were Northerners fighting with us, were in fact standing against us. We endured in the how. My friends, they don't want blacks to vote.
That's right.
1965, 1968, women got the right to serve on juries in the South. 1970, Native Americans got the right to vote. The 80, you could vote on college campuses. Say whenever, our back is against the wall. Form a union between white women, blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, Asians, we the people. The power to protect our democracy. So it's not close. I'm anxious because I'm ready to go to jail now. So today, we must fill up the jails. We in fact must fill up the jails. Fill up the jails. Let's walk and talk and freedom. Know who the Lord is our light and our salvation.
That's right.
Whom shall we fear? The Lord is the strength of our lives. And if you call yourself a child of God, you ought to act like it sometimes. If my people will call by my name, humble themselves and pray and seek my face, and turn their wicked ways, say God will hear our prayer. So when racism is wicked, racism is unscientific, it is immoral. As soon as God made a mistake, He made somebody other than the white race. So we the people, in fact, use our strength, use our character, our courage, fight back. We're the patriots. We're the patriots. We're the patriots. Dr. King and civil rights movement did this. You look at the New South, where you have the Atlanta Falcons and the Atlanta Hawks. A movement made that possible. They couldn't have sat together and played together. The Carolina Panthers, because all Panthers said they made me money in Philadelphia was Friday.
Yes.
We the people,
We the people.
know full well. There's an attempt to dismantle. So that could have been Dallas Cowboys behind the cotton curtain. South Carolina will not be number one in entire development. Because we fought back.
Because we fought back.
America's better. We're not bitter.
We're not bitter.
America's better. We're not bitter. Through it all, they may jail us, lie to us, try to compromise politics, legislation. But we the people, determined, we're gonna make it. With or without. With or without. With or without. It's time for us to make our case, put our butt on the line. We need to go to jail, even die. America might live. God bless you.
Give it up. Keep hope alive. Forward together. Not one step back. Forward together. Not one step back. Forward together. Not one step back. You know, when I made the call into Reverend Jackson and asked him to come, some people said, but Rev, I said, listen, we need Moses and Joshua now. We need the old men that are made for vision and the young men that are made women and men that are made for war. We need everybody. We don't have time for anybody to stay. And if Reverend Jackson could come, we all ought to come. We all got to stand. We're fighting for everybody. Now I want the rest of the speakers to know Reverend Jackson gets AARP privileges. The rest of y'all got 2 minutes. Reverend Jackson gets elder privileges. Young and hot, amen. So everybody else, we got the march. And there's gonna be a direct action for some of us. So the rest of you come in the order that I named. Please honor what Sister Tanner is going. And then we're gonna get ready to put these signs up and march on these buildings. They would not accept the meeting. We said we wanted a meeting with them. The West Virginians did in Kentucky with people and their select moral leaders and attorneys, and we didn't hear anything back. And you can't just get in the building. So we got to march. Robin, you got it from here?
I got it from here.
Thank you, Reverend Barber. My name is Jim Winkler. I'm with the National Council of Churches. It's wonderful to be with you this afternoon. I thank the Poor People's Campaign for bringing us together. And on behalf of the National Council of Churches, which includes Reverend Barber and Reverend Theo Harris among our 30 million members, I am proud to stand in the breach with you today. Our platform today is very specific. It is moral and it is just. We're here to demand this Congress ensure voting rights for all invest in the physical and social infrastructure our nation needs, guarantee our people a $15 hourly wage, stop voter suppression, and end the non-constitutional filibuster. These are not radical or peculiar demands. But friends, voting rights are under attack in our nation, and we're here today to protect and strengthen our right to vote. Just 5 months ago, this year, a violent mob organized by the defeated outgoing president of the United States invaded the Capitol right behind us in an attempt not only to overturn the results of our election, but to murder the vice president and members of Congress. Subsequent to that rejection of the principle that we choose our leaders through fair elections, laws have been passed in a number of states to restrict access to voting. Well, friends, the National Council of Churches supports both the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the For the People Act. This will go a long way to safeguarding our right to vote. We believe elections have consequences, as do the effort to steal elections. We here today are serious about the right to vote. The book of Deuteronomy says, choose for each of your tribes individuals who are wise, discerning, and reputable to be your leaders. We believe that, and we believe it's the right way for our nation to proceed. Choosing wise, discerning, and reputable leaders for our nation is the responsibility of all our people, not just a few. The John Lewis Voting Rights Act, the For the People's Act, the American Jobs Plan, the $15 hourly wage, these should be passed into law, and the only way this is going to happen is for the filibuster to go. Mitch McConnell doesn't even want these proposals to be debated. Well, Mitch, we're not waiting for you. We're moving forward now. Thank you.
Say forward. Together. Forward. Together. I'd like to introduce now Ronna Epting, Executive Director of Move On. Hello. Raise your hand if you're from West Virginia. Welcome, West Virginia. Welcome, Kentucky. You are here in Washington, D.C., the seat of power of the United States, if not for the entire world. And what do we know about power? It concedes nothing without a demand. And we are here. I don't live in West Virginia or Kentucky. I live in Maryland. But I am here following your leadership, coming here and demanding that our elected officials hear our call. Eliminate the filibuster. Pass the Voting Rights Act. Pass the For the People Act now. Listen, you guys remember 8 months ago? We were knocking doors, we're calling voters, we're working our hearts out, we're protecting the vote. We were in the midst of the worst part of the pandemic. People had to vote by mail. People were forced to vote in person that were at risk. We had so many roadblocks in our way to win. And despite the voter suppression, despite the lies, despite the hate, despite the threats of violence on our communities to exercise our franchise, we freaking won. And did we work our hearts out to win and to also protect the results of that win just for mediocrity to happen over here? No. Did we work our hearts out to celebrate in the streets and to protect the results of the election and to push back on those attacks just for the filibuster to get in the way? No. No. We voted because we know we deserve a democracy that works for all of us, and it was under attack, and it still is today. Yes. All that work, all the blood, sweat, and tears over that last year. We got to take that energy and we got to bring it back, and we got to bring it to the seat of power. We got to remind them why they were voted in office. Okay. So last thing I'll just say, I work at Move On. It's no secret. We're political. We talk politics every day. We talk about Republicans, talk about how we don't like them. But let me just say, this is not a political issue. This is a moral one. Everything we're talking about today. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. Your vote, you should be able to vote. You should have that vote counted. Your vote and your voice should matter. It doesn't matter if you're in a red state or a blue state. We all deserve to earn a living wage for full-time work. All of this we're talking about, it's not political. It's a moral situation. And we need to push our elected officials and Joe Manchin to move. So move on, the millions of Move On members all across this country, they stand behind you, West Virginia, they're with you, Kentucky, and they're with all of us. To not let up, we are the majority. 81 million of us voted and won this election. And we're sure as hell not gonna stop now, so thank you.
Great, great. So we got to keep moving on. All right, brothers and sisters, I'm gonna take a bishop's authority because we gotta march and people have been, and we gotta watch out for people's health. Am I right? In this heat. And if we don't march, we're not here in front of the Supreme Court. I'm gonna ask each speaker to come now. We are marching in 10 minutes. Turn your neighbor and say, we are marching in 10 minutes. And some of us may have to ride. If you need somebody to be legs for you, just get a partner like I do. But we're going and we got an action. And so all the speakers that are coming now, come on the stage quickly. What time is it, Robin? All right, 2:10, start 11. All right, hand me this mic back at 2:20, no matter what. In fact, do it at 2:19. And y'all be mad, and I'll just kiss you anyhow. These folks been on the bus for 6 to 7 hours.
That's right. We need to get on the move. All right, calling forward now Daryl Jones of Transformative Justice Coalition. He will be followed by Reverend Jennifer Butler, Founding Executive Director of Faith in Public Life, followed by Reverend Abidjan Amanchi, Senior Minister, Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church in Bethesda, followed by Reverend Dr. Turner, Senior Pastor of the Boulevard Christian Church out of Memphis, Tennessee.
All right. Hello, everybody. Barbara Arnwine and I from the Transformative Justice Coalition are here with you today. West Virginia, we were with you down in West Virginia when you marched on Manchin. We were with you in West Virginia when we signed our names to the door demanding daddy support before the People Act. On behalf of the Transformative Justice Coalition, we're proud to stand here with you today to march. Let me tell you one quick story. We're just coming back from down south. We came across a person down there they go by the name of Big Duck. What Big Duck was, is Big Duck is one of the original freedom riders out of Louisiana. And what Big Duck shared with us was that he was invited to go to the home of Fannie Lou Hamer.
Currently one speaking 3.
And while there, Fannie Lou wanted to show him her house and how it had been shot up with guns, trying to stop her from registering people to vote. So when we come here today and we hear Big Duck say, "Nothing will stop me," we're here to tell you that nothing will stop us. Nothing will stop us. We need to free the vote. I'm going to introduce real quickly Barbara Arnwine, the founder and president of Transformative Justice Coalition.
Hey, everybody! Yeah, we're going to march. We're getting ready to do it because we must have voting rights. Everybody in this country must be able to vote. So I want you to get ready because across the street, we want to say one thing to you in case you're confused. We're not stopping. We are unstoppable. We will not stop until we free the vote. 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 Let's get it done, folks, till victory is won.
Today we are here for the people. Who are we here for? Who are we here for? I'm the Reverend Jennifer Butler. I'm the CEO of Faith and Public Life Action, a network of 50,000 religious communities across this country determined to create a democracy so that all people can flourish. And we are calling on the Senate to cast off the filibuster's chains and pass the For the People Act now. Our religious traditions teach us that each and every person is created in God's image. Therefore, every person deserves a voice in our government. The freedom to vote is sacred. Say it with me. The freedom to vote is sacred. The sacred nature of the vote is what propelled religious communities to risk everything to make sure everyone had access to the ballot in November. And now they're trying to roll all of that back, but we will not let them. And so today we call on Senator McConnell to end his crusade for minority rule and instead serve all Americans. And today we call on Senator Manchin to go down in history for holding the door open to democracy rather than locking it. Doing the moral thing, secure freedom from tyranny, it is more important than bipartisanship and more important than an old loophole like the filibuster. Politicians funded by dark money put up barriers to voting in communities of color and then close down our hospitals and refuse to receive Medicaid money. Shame. Today I have hope, and the religious community, the moral community will not rest, because those of us who believe in freedom will not rest until it comes.
All right, I just got a note from our medical team saying we've got to move in the midst of all this heat. Amen. So I'm gonna trust this mic. You give your best.